say there is a complete freedom to just seeing what shows up and how that works. So I've just got my first corporate gig somewhere, and they said, "How much is what do you charge?" I said, "I genuinely don't know. I've only had individual clients so far, and this is a different ballgame. So I don't know what good value is to you, and I don't want to either undercharge or overcharge. So why don't we do this together?" They wrote the proposal. They suggested a number, and I went, "Yeah, that's okay. Let's go for that. Do you mind if I take the proposal and put it in my own language? And by the way, by doing a bit about what I'm doing is for the work that I'm doing for you, that will help pay for some of the work I'm doing with veterans on this. It's help facilitating some of that." And they went, "Oh, we really like that. Yeah, definitely put that in." So by being completely open and not knowing whether it was going to work or not, and just seeing where that conversation was going to go, we've ended up with both sides being comfortable with the figure, and everybody being excited about where we're going to go next. So if you'd asked me a year ago how I'd have felt in that conversation, anxious, confused, not quite sure what was going to go on, and I just went, actually, it doesn't matter. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. What do you think? And it's been really cool. So if we're open and honest with where we're coming from, there's a real power in that people, one, aren't expecting, and two, want to sort of join in with. And you can almost go anywhere with it. And it's just having faith and trusting in the process, because actually people are interested in what we've got to say, and have real value to it. And we do not know what that is. And by allowing them into that conversation, rather than going, "Oh, well, this is what I normally get," or I genuinely don't know what this is worth for you. You tell me what you think it's worth, and we'll see if that's something we can work with. You could get some real surprises in that.
Hey guys,
Hey, Wilson.
can you hear me all right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add, I feel it's a little bit of confidence in your product as well. I feel like, because it only come to my mind that when you walk into a clothing shop, all of them, they're confident with their product. It's there. It has a set price. So that means they're confident with their product. So I feel like, because even me, when a long time ago, if I was selling something and I sold it and the person said, yeah, straight away, I would kick myself like, oh, you could have bumped that up a little 20 or 30, or if they said yes to that, you could have started at the top and then went down. And I used to kick myself for things like that. And then I felt like that journey kind of made me learn the selling game. And I felt like when you have confidence in your product, it just has a set price. You know what it does. You know what it does, and you know what benefits it will have, what pros and cons are. And another thing I was going to say is that I find that when when Mama J said attachments, I think that is the one for me, because I find that when I have no attachments about the money and I don't think about it too much, it comes softer. I can think about it softer. Things can flow easier. But on the other hand, it's like a catch-22, because bills don't stop for nobody. Do you know what I mean? It's like rent don't stop, phone bill don't stop, food don't stop. You gotta fill the fridge, the car, do you know what I mean? Children, everything don't stop. So it's like, wait, you can't just not think about it. You have to you have to balance it. But that's where I get confused, because I'm like, wait, when I don't think about money, it's softer. But in the society we live in now, it's a necessity. You need it. It's like you can buy a phone for £10, or you can buy a phone for £50 that has WhatsApp and all that. So it's like, if you need WhatsApp, okay, now you need money. So it's like, in society, the more money you got, the simpler your life would be, put it that way. So it's like, the less money you got, you can't buy a phone with WhatsApp and all that. So I feel like in society, it's kind of like the learned behavior it pushes that necessity on money. And it's like, because I even see this one thing, right, where there was this Italian guy, and he used to work. I'm not sure the backstory. I'm not sure what he used to do, but he used to earn a lot of money. And his wife left him for what he considered a normal guy with a normal money, normal job, and all that. And his wife left him for a normal guy. It's because he didn't really pay her much attention. He paid a lot of attention to his work. And after she left him, he was heartbroken, and he realized he's got a lot of blogs on YouTube. I might send it to a group, to the Wisdom Entrepreneurs group on Facebook. But he starts giving away his stuff because he realizes that money is not everything. He used to think money was everything, and he starts giving away his stuff. He got like 7 Lamborghinis, and he finds people on the street and he gives them away, and he throws his watch in a river, and he does a lot of stuff because he realized that love was what he was craving, and he thought it was the money, but he realized that it was love. But yeah, attachments is a strong one, and I think this is a very strong topic. Very strong topic.
What I really heard with both of you, Dave and Omar, was like, ultimately, money is neutral. It only becomes not neutral when we give it the power, the superpower thing, you know, either that it can be fun and lighthearted, and it just points right back to that connecting with what we're feeling and where we're at with something, isn't it? And that's where the answers come from. And money is, you know, it isn't any different, even though immediately you go to, oh, but it really it doesn't have to be. It you know, and if it was like, okay, well, oh, I really want that phone, I'm gonna have to get a bit more money. Okay, cool. How can I go about that? You know, then it's much lighter. But or, oh, I don't know what I'm going to charge. Let's have a conversation. It's so much. It can be so much easier. You know, it is, unless we decide it isn't. I love both those topics.
I love that as well, and I really see that in my up and down relationship with money, which is the times when I get really heavy and really concerned is when I've got attachments, or when I think I need something, or when I think I need more than I need. And not that that's a problem, because it's fine to want nice things and have nice things and whatever. And you think it's different. That is different from when I've got to pay the bills, or when I'm sort of worried, you know, or we're spending our savings and what's going to happen, you know, if we don't have a pension, or, you know, we think it's all different, but it's all the same. And I notice the difference between when I'm in that thinking and when I'm in just pure creative thinking and more fun. Like you say, you know, the times when I've gone to the fun of, okay, well, what could I do then? You know, and sometimes that is, oh, I can sell things, or I come up with a new product, or I remember somebody owes me some money, or, you know, like things occur to you that just don't occur to you in that serious, I've got to do something. And it's funny what Dave was saying. Dave was saying earlier about, like, when you don't take it so seriously, when you're more fun, somebody, so we're fundraising at the moment, and we're trying to raise 40 grand, and somebody has offered to match fund and said that if we raise, they will basically put in 20 grand, up to 20 grand. And immediately I was like, oh yeah, that's achievable. You know, suddenly it went from how are we going to fill this gap to 20 grand. Yeah, I could get that in easy peasy. And there's such a lightheartedness, like, oh yeah, who haven't I asked? Right, who can I go to? And perhaps I could try this. And there was way less on it. And then a colleague introduced me to someone, and I don't know this person, and it's a business, and it's to do with corporate social responsibility, and I don't know this person. So I looked at this email and I looked at this person's name, and I thought, okay, what can I do with her? And what occurred to me was to be totally honest and say, I'm fundraising. I think that you're something to do with corporate social responsibility, and I'd like to ask you, like, for some advice or some money, or what to do next. And I don't know how that person will respond to it, but I felt comfortable with the email, because I was just like, yeah, I'm not going to pretend that I know. And I'm not just good. I don't feel right about just asking her for money outright. So what do I really want? Well, actually, it'd be really helpful if she had a conversation with me and said, these are the sorts of things that you need to do if you want someone to give you corporate social responsibility, for instance. And she might not do that. But there was so much more lightheartedness about it, because I was just like, yeah, okay, I've only got 20 grand. Right, let's get that this week. And I've spent a month going, what are we going to do? So it is really interesting. I see that dilemma, and like I say, I really see that it's no different if I've got to pay for the service on my car, or if it, you know, something that seems essential, or if I've got to pay my rent, or if I want to buy a new pair of boots. They're all the same thing, because when I approach it with creativity and fun, and I haven't got that attachment and worry thinking about it. And it's so interesting, because like for most of the time, I don't really care about money. Like, I literally don't care. I honestly feel like we get what we need when we need it. And when I need more paint, I get more paint. I honestly feel like that, but sometimes I forget that, and then that's when it becomes more serious and I have more attachments.
I love what you guys are both saying about it's kind of like sort of an open-hearted, transparent communication that you and Dave are having with people, that enables somehow for the outcome to be in the greatest good in any situation. That's what I'm kind of feeling from you both. I really like that. That's something I need to get better at. Definitely.
It comes with just playing with it and being comfortable that no could be the outcome, and being completely comfortable that that's okay. And you know, it's fascinating when you start to look at things like that. But it always comes back down to the feeling, what feels right to do. And we've got this bizarre cultural thing around money and it being mercenary and being money grabbers, or whatever it is. There's some weird stigma around it. We all want to gather as much of it as we can, but we want to do it in a way that nobody can see. And it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, because as Bron said, it is completely neutral. The only thing that makes it any different from that is our perception of it as a commodity. That is it. But it's like water to fill the kettle to make a cup of tea. That is it. That's all it is. It doesn't serve any purpose, unless you're very cold and you can burn it, and it can warm you up. So that's about the only time it can provide you with heat. But if you've got loose change, then no, that's of no use to you at all.
Not the new money either. It's all plastic.
Well, yeah, Yeah. It would give a funny glow, I expect, but that's about it. But it's, you know, it is nuts. We've got ourselves in a complete muddle about something that is completely neutral. And actually, it just boils down to, what are we comfortable with doing? And if we are comfortable that the answer to any and every conversation is no, but there's a possibility that it's yes, then why wouldn't we? You know, why wouldn't you ask? Because if you're comfortable that no is the answer, then you've got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Hello, if I could just chime in here quickly with something.
Hello, Derrick.
Hello, everybody. If I could just chime in quickly with something what I just heard. You see, when you say, because the only options are when you ask a yes or no question, the only options are yes or no. But it's your thinking what puts a problem on it. So being afraid that the answer is no, there's nothing to put on the person who's answering no. We often hear no from somebody and say, oh, they're this or they're that. I'm frightened to hear a no from them. But the only thing that is to be done is with you, to know that it's okay to accept to get a no. And it's okay to ask for what you're asking for, knowing that one of the two options, yes or no, could be the answer. But don't get in your head over either one, because they're the only two options there, yes or no. And don't be ashamed. If you're going to ask, then don't be ashamed or frightened to have this stigma around asking, because there's nothing wrong with getting a no. That's just more thinking. But like with it, about money is just so neutral. It's just so neutral. And I used to have so much thinking about money, about what it could do from what it can't do. But like you said, Dave, if you're gonna burn it, that's the only way it can provide heat. And like I said, it's kettle for a water for a kettle. So yeah, I'll chime in with that quickly.
Derrick says wearing his Armani top.
Bought from a time when I had that sort of thinking.
Just kidding. There was a guy that we worked with, and he was very, very, very into, you know, like the clothes and everything, and he was in prison, and he was always in Armani or Nike or whatever, and apparently you can't mix and match. So if you wear an Armani top, you have to wear your Armani trainers and your Nike top with your Nike trainers and so on. So like he taught me about all of that. And he was in an open prison, and he was naughty. And so he got shipped out back to a closed prison again. And they delayed sending his clothes, and he had like tons of all of these designer clothes, and he was like really kicking off about it and upset about it. And then he said, so he had to like wash his clothes in his little sink so that he could wear them the next day. And he said one day he was washing his Armani pants in his prison sink, and he suddenly thought, what the hell am I doing? I'm obsessed with labels, and he'd seen a lot around labels, you know, personal labels and stuff. You know, I'm obsessed about labels, and here I am washing my Armani pants in my prison sink. Like, what do I think of myself here? And I just thought that was such an image that we all do, you know, to some extent or another, that we all sort of buy into that image. And partly I think that we should be kind to ourselves. I don't know what you think, Bron, but I think we're brought up like this. You know, we're constantly told by society, you've got to have these things, and you've got to do this, and you're not a man if you don't have this, and you're not feminine enough if you don't have that, and etc., etc. And we're bombarded with those images from birth, since the Industrial Revolution, I guess. And so no wonder we have skewed thinking about the whole thing, because it's never really pointed out. And then it looks like there are the do-gooders, and they don't have anything. And there are the, you know, the sort of whatever capital people who run big businesses, and they've got everything. And then that looks like that adds to our skewed vision of it all. when actually it's all thought. It's all an illusion.
I got a story.
Yay.
So when it shattered my vision, because growing up, all I saw was, as you said, Gucci, Nike, that, and my mum couldn't afford that, and obviously I wanted that because everybody had that. I thought that's the in thing, and so obviously that's what I chased. And growing up, the guys with the most expensive clothes and the jewelry and you thought these guys had money. So that's what I believed okay, that's a lot of money. And if you, do you know what I mean, the lower you dress, the less money you got. So fast forward a couple of years, I was doing removals, and we got this job, and it said mother's PA, and we've never got a job like that. So it's like, okay, we have to go see mother's PA. So we got to this, pulled up to this mansion. I was like, oh, like, it was big. And as we drove up the drive, and there was a lot of people working, so it just looked like it was crazy. And then we met with this PA, and we was moving out the lady's daughter to another house, and she was showing us this candle. I'm not sure what the candle was called, but it was worth $1,000. A candle, it was worth $1,000. I had to search it on Google, and it was worth $1,000, a bloody candle. And this house was massive, so we was waiting for the owner to come home. So obviously I'm expecting Gucci, Lamborghini, Land Rover, something decent. And she pulled up in a normal little Ford, jumped out, no designer in sight, little handbag, short little lady, and she looked a bit rough. And straight away, I had to ask my boss, is that the owner? Are you sure? That's the owner. And straight away, that just shattered my images, because I thought, wait, rich people wear Gucci and this and that, and this lady, you would pass her on the street and not know less. But if you pass someone wearing Gucci tracksuit head to toe with big chains, you're gonna look. But this lady, me personally, I would have just passed her shoulder to shoulder without knowing she owns this huge mansion and this, that. And that, it made me see life different from that day on. I no longer believed in that facade. It was kind of like my own awakening to that. That is a whole facade I believed in for many years. And yeah, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. It was just a facade. It was just attachments that I had to those clothings, thinking that the more money you spend, I can't even say it. That it doesn't make sense no more. The more money you spend, the what? It doesn't make sense. Clothes is clothes. If you're warm, you're warm. You're cold, you're cold. Do you know what I mean? So it just doesn't make sense anymore. I can't articulate anymore. Yeah.
What's Derrick done? What have you done? You put a sticky over you.
You outed me about my Armani, Mama J.
I'm sorry. That's funny. Oh.
You just said Omar, reminded me of something what my friend told me from a long time ago. He said, like, you see people in the hood, people with money act like they haven't got it, and the ones who haven't got it act like they have.
Yeah.
The proper twisted like psychology of the same, basically what you just said.
Yep.
Because I never see that until I went to prison, and then the person that I've met in prison who has the most money that I've ever met in prison does not wear their own clothes. He only ever wore his own clothes. And I was inside with some young fella, and this is something I have to admit to as well. I didn't used to wear prison clothes. Prison clothes never used to touch my skin because I was not snobbish, but I wear my own clothes. I don't wear them. So he used to call them the council estates. So he ain't wearing no council estate clothing. But the man who's got like so much mills in his bank, everything he owns comes from the council estate. Everything. He doesn't, but then that showed you that it's not a set way you have to be. It's all to that individual person, whether you've got it or not, or haven't got it, or want to show that you have it. It's all relevant to that individual person. Because to people like who haven't had it, money is basically everything. But then when you get a few bucks, money is the last thing. Everything else precedes money. Or if you get in situations where money can't money can't get you out of. And that gives you a bit of grounding, but you still got the money, so you still heads. It's hard to explain, but I had to lose money in order for me to see the realness of what money can do and how money can twist your head. Because I was very money motivated from I was younger. And I only lost that the other day, working for Beyond Recovery the other day. Not like, yeah, I've got the principles and all my thinking of money dropped. It slowly, just gradually dropped and dropped and dropped. And yeah, it's just amazing how you can think of it as so powerful. Like the thing you said, is it a superpower? You would think it literally is a superpower, but it's just a piece of paper on the floor that's come. Yeah, it's crazy. It is actually crazy.
I did think of something earlier as well, Bron, to the subject of, because I'm aware that I love this conversation, but some people might walk away going, well, how do you still, I don't know how to charge people. And something that I found useful, because there's a whole load of stuff about what you should charge people and what you shouldn't, and la. But I found two things useful. One is what Dave said, charge what you're comfortable with. So, you know, there's been times when I've just gone, I couldn't ask, I wouldn't want to ask for somebody for £300, but I'm okay asking them for 120. So it's like, go where you're comfortable. But the second thing, which I found really valuable, was there's a book called The Go-Giver. And he talks about, like, forget what you're charging, fill your diary. Like, if your week is full of people who want your services, and it doesn't matter what you're charging, if your week is full of people who want your services, you can charge. If you're already charging, you can charge more. And just keep filling your week. And as your week gets full and you've got a waiting list, you can charge more, and so on. And that's the way to, and I thought that was really helpful, because when you just like talking to one or two, I'm trying to get clients, and you're talking to one or two clients and you're trying to charge them enough money that's going to pay your mortgage or pay your rent or whatever. There's so much on that, and it becomes so heavy. But actually, if you go, right, I'm going to work 4 days a week, I'm going to go back to back, and I'm going to fill my diary, and I'm going to charge, I don't know, 50 quid a person, because that'll equal the same, you know, if I had 2 clients, and then that would pay my rent. And if people keep coming back and they keep wanting you, then you can charge more and do it that way. And I really, really liked that as an idea.
That's I find that interesting, Mama J, because that's just switching the focus basically from the money. Rather than say, I need money, everything's money. You just slightly switch it and say, right, I need to fill my diary, I need to fill my diary. And the pressure and thing that comes off of that is not the same as, oh, I need money. And just that slight, that's not a full shift, just that slight turn in a slightly different direction is enough to take off the pressure of the whole situation, what you're about to make up if you start thinking, I need the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that helpful, Bron?
Yeah. No, it's been great. It's been great. Thank you. It just yeah, it's really useful.
I think it's a conversation that you could have for a week. And one of the things that we'd like to do is carry on the conversation on the Facebook group. So, you know, if people are willing, and I'm hoping Bron's going to go along with this, but if people are willing, we'll carry on Facebook on the Wisdom Entrepreneurs group, posting what our thoughts are. If you reflect overnight and you see something or you've got more questions, post it on there, and we'll answer, and we'll join in the conversation. Because sometimes you can't get it all out in one night. And I was wondering how Dan was doing. How did you find your first session, Dan?
Oh, yeah, it's been interesting. Thanks, guys. It's been good to listen. Cheers.
I bet it wasn't what you expected.
wasn't expecting to go live on Facebook without knowing. Yeah.
Sorry.
No problem.
That shut me up.
It's been great. I think for myself as well, it's just so, it's just it's just lovely to see how simple. It always goes back to simplicity. Like, it can be so much simpler when we, don't grab onto it all. Yeah. And it's just to remember that at 3 o'clock in the morning.
For sure. Sora has posted something. She said, I'll just add, I saw the value or lack thereof of money in my history class back in year 8 when I was learning that hyperinflation in Germany meant people took home a week's wages in wheelbarrows and used it to light fires, as Derrick suggested. Even if we had millions of it, it's so out of our control how much is actually worth. That's a really good point. We don't even have control over how much money is worth, do we?
I think what's also jumping out for me is just the fact that, no one person has any more value than any other person in the world, or no one person is ever contributing more than another person. It's just that we might make these judgments, but it's easy to get lost in forgetting that, because we can feel so valueless if we don't have enough money, or put our sense of worth on the amount of money we have. But really, we're all our lights are equal in the world, aren't they? Yeah.
Nice.
And I think what you just said is interesting, Alfie, because that can happen in reverse as well. If you've got too much money, or you perceive you've got enough money, then you start doubting yourself, because your money, it ain't so cracked out to all you thought it would be. Never answer all your questions. You're still unhappy, and you're still thinking you need more. And now you start looking at yourself. Is there something? So then, yeah, money is just it just does crazy things to your head. It just does crazy things.
That's just a perception too, Derrick, because money can do amazing stuff, and money in the right hands can change the world, can change people's lives.
That is very true. That is very true.
But do you think, though, that person would change the world regardless to whether there was a paper system we call money?
Yeah. But I guess what I was saying is that, like, money can put food in someone's belly. It can, and someone with a lot of it can direct it, or set up a charity or whatever, isn't it? Yeah, it doesn't have to be. You're
saying money's neutral, it's not evil.
Yeah, but having a lot of money doesn't make everybody go screwy and like greedy, It
comes down to sort of abundance. You can have inner spiritual abundance, and you can feel, as you say, totally neutral about money. You can do amazing things with money. I think the neutral is lovely, like the lack of attachment. If you have a lack of attachment to it, regardless, you're going to do great things with it, for me, because it's not controlling you.
That's what I was trying to allude to. When you think money, like you said, controls you, or it's got some sort of degree of control when you get enough of it, where you think you've got enough of it now, you think you're better than somebody else, but really that money, that's something false is putting, but that's what you've put onto the money. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally makes sense. Yeah, it's about intent, isn't it? And yeah, that neutrality that you guys have mentioned all evening,
I think what's coming out for me is like the different perception that you can have depending on kind of where you're at, if you know what I mean. So kind of like what level of gratitude you've got for what you have. Like as an example, I was just reflecting that I used to, my first job wasn't very well paid or anything like that. I was on reception, and then I moved to London, and the salary was higher, and every year everyone got a bonus, and that was the normal done kind of thing then. And I noticed kind of people were very, it was new to me, so I was like, oh my god, I got a bonus. It wasn't that much, but I was like so excited. But that time of year, whenever it came round, people were on edge. People were like, they were cross most of the time. They were like, this isn't fair, I deserve more, or that this team gets more because they bring in the money, we pay it out, like insurance, underwriting claims, and there's all this stuff that was going on. Like people weren't very happy, but it was a bonus, so it was not something that you get as standard. And then I moved out of London, and I got a job again where you didn't get a bonus. It wasn't normal, and I thought to myself, God, if ever I went back to that, I would be so grateful, you know, to have had it, because it's not a guarantee. Like lots of people don't get it, and people used to sort of squabble over it. And then I went back to London again, and that first year when it came round and I got a little something, I was so grateful. And everyone else that I was talking to was like, oh my God, who's coming to the pub? This isn't on. Like, let's get drunk. Let's have a cross about how much we've got or not got, or who's got more and stuff. And I was like, oh, I'm just really grateful. And I was ringing my husband. I was like, oh, I got a little bonus and stuff, and you know, just really grateful. But then as the years went on, and it became a norm for me again, my perception and behavior changed, and I was the same as my other colleagues, because I one year had this much, the next year it went down a bit, and I saw it as, I've worked really hard, I deserve more, and I lost that. It's a bonus, you know, like I think that was a direct, how I felt was directly linked to my level of gratitude to that. And I think that just plays such an important part, remembering to be grateful for what you've got. And sometimes it's helpful when you get a reminder and it's taken away from you, and you kind of remember, like, actually this is yeah, look at what I've got.
An amazing place to end. That is beautiful. We wrap it up if that's all right then, Bron. That was absolutely beautiful, and I really loved that. I loved the whole conversation. I loved the way you ended it, Kate. And I'd love to hear everybody's thoughts and reflections on Facebook. And see you all next week with
Krista Cancel.
Oh, with Krista Campsell's coming back. So we've got Krista Campsell next week. Thank you, everybody.
Take care as well.
Cheers, everybody.
Thank you.
Lovely.
Bye.
Cheers.